Welcome to our Thursday edition of Open Tabs, our Substack Live, where we hop on and talk about these stories taking up space in our tabs, our feeds, and our brains. Hi, Melissa. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Emma.
Hi, guys. Okay. So we have some fun topics today, so we're just going to jump straight into it. The first thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is this New York Times article about this short form Instagram show that I've been loving recently. It's called Errands. And the whole shtick is that it's the most boring show on the internet because he's an NYU film student grad. He just follows his funny friends around New York City as they do actual errands. So one episode is following his friend who needs to buy a new AC unit and then install it herself. Others are going to the post office and mailing something. Some are going to Target to pick something up. It's very funny. It's very, very lo-fi, bare bones. These people are not celebrities at all. And it kind of reminds me, I don't know if you guys are fans of Broad City or these New York based shows where it's just about the chaos of living your life in New York City. Because a lot of times when you are running errands in New York City, it hardly ever goes as planned. And the show documents that. It's very fun. And he did an interview with the New York Times, and what I thought was interesting about it is how he talks about purposely keeping it super lo-fi. It's really just him, whoever he's following that day, his camera, and he is purposely keeping it super duper low budget. He doesn't want any celebrity guests. He doesn't want to do any sponsorships or ads in it because he thinks that would take away from the magic that he's creating. And he also talks about how he was very much inspired by subway takes, which we've talked about before, that New York City, lo-fi, you're just in his case, you're just on the street. In subway takes, you're just sitting on the subway with your one guest. And yeah, I feel like we've talked about this, it's been a theme throughout of people wanting more lo-fi, less produced content online. And yeah, I just wanted to get your all's thoughts.
This reminds me of a show that I've seen on my FYP where it's a girl saying, "How long does it take?" And she's helping her friends with tasks that they've been putting off.
Oh,
And
that's
then they
funny.
say, "How long does this actually take?" So it's she's been meaning to update her passport. And then they're like, "What do you need to do?" And then it's basically just an accountability buddy. So I think this is a fun narrative way into one of the core use cases of the internet is just how do you get stuff done? How to, what are the steps? And it's also productivity is such a thing, but this is productivity narratives in a really interesting way. And also that human element. So I think this is really fun. And it's shows that people are just looking for more the humanity and the personality than they are looking for the content themselves. And it's if you can build something compelling on top of something this simple, you can make whatever content interesting, you know?
Mhm.
I agree. I also think that there's a couple things that come to mind with this. It's also, I think, creating relatability with the audience, because going through the task of running errands is something that, we all have to do. And it's always sort of seen as this like it's chores, right? It's stuff to get done. And if you've ever lived in New York City, doing anything can be really challenging. All you need to do is be commuting home and the rain starts and you're great. This is now going to be a, on a scale of 1 to 10, this could have been a 7 getting home and now it's a 1. You won't have an umbrella. The subway will be packed. You will be, it'll just, everything goes wrong. The other thing that brings to mind for this too, it's the fascination of mundanity, I think, is that a word? Or the mundane?
Yeah.
Is nothing new either, right? It's what Seinfeld is completely built on, right? It's just, regular people. And then it's a comedy built on that. I also think I was just looking at the Instagram account too. the one of the top videos that they have more recent videos that they published is, like, a girl going to get her driver's license. It totally looks like The Office, like, the way that it's shot. And that's sort of funny too. Like, and I think it's, this idea of, like, obviously office culture has been examined and poked at, and then, like, obviously, like, um entertainment content has been built off of that,
Mhm.
right? Like, even back rooms, right? Like, and there's all just, or, what's the one on Apple TV?
Oh, Severance.
Severance, right? So I can see, like, and it's actually so funny too, because I have a couple friends of mine that are talent agents, and they're all following this account. So I feel like what people are, like, taking note of, it's like, "Oh, there's interest in this," and, like, literally just imagine 10 steps ahead where this becomes, like, a game show. It becomes a, office type of show where there's, like, faux documentary Portlandia kinda thing. Imagine it becoming a horror show. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, you
Mhm.
can see all of those things, like, like, things that could permeate from this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
really
also think it
Oh, you go, Megan.
I was gonna say, I think it reminds me too of, like, something Emma and I were always talking about of, like, YouTube kind of being, like, just something to hang out with, and I feel like people want content that they can just sort of, like, hang out with that doesn't demand their full attention, and I feel like podcasts do that, but if you want something with, like and I literally, since I think about content this way, I find myself being like, "I need something on while I work. It can't be a podcast, but it needs to have a narrative, like, but I don't wanna have to, like, hardcore follow a narrative, and it's like I'm craving, like, the TLC or, like, home improvement shows where it's like I can look up and see a little vignette and then go back to what I was doing, and I feel like this type of content perfectly fills that void of, like, I wanna hang out and just, like, exist with these people versus, like, I want to be entertained by these people.
Yes, that's actually how I consume it a lot. I will have it on when I'm doing the dishes
Yes.
because I want something on, but I'm not gonna be paying close attention to it, and I want something, like, quick. Like, I can't like, it takes me, like, 10 minutes. I need something, like, quick that's funny,
Yeah.
I enjoy, and doesn't take up too much of my attention. I'm not surprised, Melissa, that your talent agent friends follow because it feels like a funny Vogue 75 questions for, like,
Yeah.
incoming artist types in New York City, because these are all people he went to, like, NYU with. It's, like, all his friends, and it's very, very funny. And another thing, while we're still on this topic that just popped up today in a similar, like, lo-fi vein, um, Olivia Rodrigo just announced like 3, maybe 5 hours ago that she is doing a surprise concert in Brooklyn tonight. Tickets are only $25, and you can only buy tickets in person at the theater's, box office.
I love
When
that.
are the tickets on sale now? Like, can you go run
Yeah,
there?
you can go she, like I assume they're on sale, like, the second she announced it this afternoon, and I think it was, like I checked her own Instagram, she hasn't even posted about it, I think, like, her label did, and then, like, Rolling Stone, like and, like, the industry mags picked it up, but, like, I just thought it was so interesting, 25 bucks. I'm going to see the Odyssey later, and my ticket for that costs more than the Olivia concert would tonight.
There's definitely this, like, democratization of music right now, like, again, the Charlie D'Amelio I'm sorry, not Charlie D'Amelio, oh my god, who am I thinking of?
Addison Rae.
No, dark hair, uh,
Charlie XCX?
yes, I'm like,
Oh,
Charlie X
The other Charlie.
the other
You were
Charlie.
there.
Yeah, I was there, sort of,
If you
Charlie
had just said
XCX.
Charlie, we would have just been like, "Uh-huh, Charlie."
Yeah, I know, I should've just done that. Well, just getting back to, like, rock and roll and, like, simplifying and, again, this is also with other entertainment forms too, like Savannah Bananas, like,
mhm.
just trying to make things affordable. I mean, I wish there was a live cam of, like, the outside of the box office. That'd be so fun to, like, watch that right now. and see what
There will be TikToks, and I will send them to you guys so you can see. I also think that I really like the spontaneity of this. Like,
Mhm.
this is so, like, even, like, in adulthood that I only saw in movies where it's like, "Oh, this band is playing here tonight. Should we go check it out?" Like, that just does not happen in today's day and age. It's so, like, plan, plan, plan. Like, you're not getting tickets to that unless you plan for it 6 months in advance or you wanna spend an arm and a leg, and I feel like people are craving this more like, let's see what happens. What's available to us?
love
Let's
that.
make decisions right now. And I actually listened to a podcast where they're talking about Miley Cyrus and how she doesn't want to tour. And I was like, Miley should just start popping up at random dive bars and playing like a set in LA. Like, that would be so cool, so fun. And like, if Miley just, or have a residency at like the Troubadour, which is like a really small venue here, like, that would be so fun where it's just like sometimes Miley's here, like Friday night, sometimes Miley's here. Like, I want more of that vibe, especially living in LA and like living in New York. And you want more, like, that's the point of being in a city, that I don't have to plan my life out 6 months in advance. I can
Mhm.
see what's going on tonight. Let's go do something fun, you know?
I
Yeah,
love that. I
I totally
agree.
agree. It reminds me of this documentary I watched, Meet Me in the Bathroom, about, like, the 2000s New York City, like, indie music scene, like, The Strokes, LCD Sound System, the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, and it was very much like that vibe where it was like, you
Mhm.
had to, like, if you knew the right person, you would get, like, a call like, "Oh, so and so's playing at this club tonight, and, like, here's the door
Yes.
password." Like, and that stuff,
Yes.
it happens, but, like, in much smaller, nicher communities, and I think it's so
And I
fun.
feel like
I
it
also feel
happens
like
top down too, where like
yeah,
brands will be like, we're doing this thing, but it's like, then it's a branded event and it's not of the community, you know?
yeah, I also feel like this is, like, good for I feel like younger people need more spontaneity in their
This is
lives
part of
right
why they're like this. Yeah.
now.
We
Yeah.
used to well, as someone who lived in the 2000s
Mm.
in New York City, um,
The
you guys
millennial
remind me.
optimism era, that's what they're
Millennial
talking, that's
optimism
what they're
era.
yeah.
Well, it was I moved into New York City by myself in fall of 2006. Um, Started as an NBC page, and the page, like, when you worked Saturday Night Live, they have an after party, and then they have an after party, and the after party doesn't start until, like, midnight to 2 a.m., and to get into it, you have to get a password, and, like, it is a whole thing, and so it really was, like, so fun, and it was a way, like, if you saw it all the way through, like, I'm not gonna, like, reveal names, but, like, one of my page friends, like, fully dated seriously, like, one of the cast members of SNL, and it, like, definitely, like
Okay, you text us.
yeah,
Text me
I'll
on the
text you
side.
guys
I
after.
need this tea.
Yeah, and,
I love
like,
tea.
like, my friends I went to Holy Cross, right? So, we were all fans of the show Entourage, right? Like, that was, like, such a big show
Yeah.
in that era. And, like, these were my, like, college guy friends, like, like, a bunch of dorks, whatever, and I was like they were like, "Oh, what's your after party?" Like, whatever, and so we were all out. I wasn't even, like, privy to the after party. That's really, like, celebrities would go there, and then this was, like, the people who wanted to, like, stay out and party. Like, Justin Timberlake was always known to go to the after. Like, there are certain celebrities that, like, see it all the way through. Anyway, the funniest thing, it was Jeremy Piven hosted SNL, and, like, he went to his own after party, and I remember who else was there. It was, Jodie Sweetin from Full House was, like, partying.
Random.
Yeah, there were, like, other random sort of, like, B and C-list celebrities there, but it was so funny because all my guy friends ended up in, like, the bathroom line with Jeremy Piven, and they were, like it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and they were all just like, "Oh my god," like, I forget what his name was in the show, but they were, like, all
Ari.
yes, he's a talent agent, right? Or whatever,
Yep.
um,
Mhm.
or the manager or whatever. Anyway, it was just, like it was, like, a fun time, and I remember also, like, there's certain millennial influencers I follow. You guys know I'm, like, such a fan of Tanks also, and I feel like there really was more of this, like, go for it kind of mentality. Like, I had a phase where I would go to One Oak, like, the club, on Sunday nights, and I would literally, like go out, like, really hard and, like, again, you don't even go out until 10. I would be out until 2, 3, and then, like, I would come back, go to bed, and, like, get to the office at 8:30, and it was, like, a point of pride to do that, and, like, we just, like,
Also,
subsisted on film, you know?
can I say also though, like, it was almost like it was expected of you. Like, especially working in media, like, I feel like people want you to be out there and networking, and, like, your boss would ask you, "What'd you do over the weekend?" and didn't wanna hear nothing. Like, your boss wanted to hear, like, "I went here and I did this and I saw this," and they, like, wanted to hear that you were out there doing things, and, like, you talking about this is also making me realize that, like, the path to fame has just changed, like, so much that, like, honestly, I think people who are getting famous just aren't that cool. Like, when you think about what it takes to get famous these days, it's like you have to be an internet, like, person who is just, like, relentlessly themselves and doesn't
I
care
know,
about everyone
which
else
is also
thinking you're
so
weird.
nerdy and, like,
Well,
narcissistic, like,
mhm.
weird. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird. It's weirdos.
It's like in
Homeschooled.
one of our lives in the past month, or maybe it was just when we 3 were on, privately, I feel like, Megan, you talked about, like, influencer events and, like, going to events, and these are people who are not good at socializing because they built their brands in their bedrooms alone at home on their phones, and then, like, these brands host these events and, like, expecting like,
Yeah.
building community, and these are, like, this is a very introverted group
They're
of
all
people.
introverts.
Yeah, and it's,
Yeah.
like, funny that, like, millennial was, like, be out there, experience, like, live life, and Gen Z's version of, like, living life now is posting in their bedroom at home.
Totally. Oh,
Yeah.
that is I think that is so true. Like, and I say that about, like, even in, like, corporate culture when you go to, like, networking events too, or, like, when I go to, like, conferences, which I am always honored to be invited to go, but I don't love it because it's really, like, as I think I'm an introverted extrovert, like, I carry myself as an extrovert, whatever, but I really need, like, to be, like, totally by myself or, like, I need, like, quiet time, like, to reset, like, it's definitely how I'm coded, and so I like going to them, but, like, when you're an extrovert, you're sort of, like there's, like, sort of this, like, extra burden to, like, carry the conversation and, like, and, like, you bring the energy, and so it's, like, a very, like, energy sucking experience for me, um, but yeah, it's so funny, like, as we were just talking about this too, it reminded me back in the so it was, like I was 25, so I wanna say it was, like and I what? It was, like, 2011, okay? It was 2011, and I'd gone through a really bad breakup. I also got into Columbia around this time frame. Or no, I was in Columbia. I was at Columbia and working full time. And so I was going to the Columbia Graduate School of Journalism as like a part-time student. It was a 2-year path while working full time at NBC. And I went through this awful breakup and the guy had kind of been dating, which was never going to go anywhere. He was this like crazy frat boy from Boston. It was like a world when I
Okay.
dated him where it was, like, such exposure. He went to, Bentley, but, like, had all these, like, flashy friends. Like, there were, like, it was just a lot of, like, um, looks and money and, like, events and travel and things, and it was,
The
like,
scene.
very yeah, and, like, I'm sort of, like I feel like I didn't have to not to be whatever, but, like, I was at NBC, like, I worked on the Today Show, I was, like, at the concert series and, like, meeting all these, like, celebrities, actually meeting them in the mornings, and so I was just, like, kind of like, Why are you trying so hard? Like, this is, like, so insane." But anyway, it was sort of an era of, like, sharing on Instagram, it was, like, early aughts of Instagram, and I was, like, of course, feeling like, "Oh, I gotta, like, this breakup has happened and, like, my life isn't over now," you know? And so I, like this is and Emma know you guys both know me very well, like, I'm so type A, like, I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna fix this, and now I'm gonna effing fix it," you know? And so, I am not kidding, I pulled out a whole year of, like, a calendar, and then I started researching things to do every weekend. I was like, cool things in New York, cool things here, whatever. Oh, like, I gotta touch base with this friend because I know that she's free here or whatever. I'm not kidding. I ended up in the most wild year ever. Like, it was like, suddenly I was, like, snowboarding in Chamonix, and none of my friends made the flight, so I was with all these random people in France, like, by myself. And I was like, "Oh my god, like, if I get hurt, like, they have no idea who I am, like, I have no idea what's going on, like, whatever." I ended up went to do that was the year I went to Dubai. I went to India. I filled in, like, weekdays all over New York. Like, I was at the Dead Mouse concert. I, like, made friends with this guy, who's actually from San Francisco, but he lived in this apartment that I think was Isaac Mizrahi's, like, former apartment. So it was this, like, insane apartment that was so cool. He had, like, 3 roommates, and there was a big, giant purple couch in it that Isaac had made, but it was so big that they couldn't get it out of the apartment. So it was just, like, iconic thing. And, like, I remember going to all these crazy bars with him. Like, it would be like it would start like, you would start a bar crawl at, like, 9 o'clock in the morning, and you'd be like, "Let's go watch soccer in the West Village, and then we're gonna, like, go on a boat, and then we're gonna come back, and then we're gonna, like, order tacos, and then we're gonna, like, go and change and shower, and then we're gonna go to, like, the Gold Bar, and then we're gonna go down to, I don't even know." Like, it was just the thing that's so cool about New York is that if you wanna do something like that, specifically New York too, like, I mean, again, I was all over the place. I spent so much money. I had a perpetual sore throat. I think my, like, lymph nodes were inflamed for a whole year. Like, it was just, like, so crazy. I had a seizure.
You know that meme that's like a Victorian child, like, showing things that would kill a Victorian child? I feel like you just described, like, a week in your life would kill a Gen Z. Like, they would legitimately die.
Well, and imagine that you're doing this. Okay, so it wasn't 2000, it was 2010 to 2011. That was the time.
Mhm.
And early 2011 was so, like, trauma filled for me because I was, like, finishing my master's. It was my last semester. I had my, like, thesis that I had to do. And I remember January of that year, this is, like, per my schedule, okay? I had to work the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas for NBC, which I had done, like, literally, like, 4 years in a row. And I was like, "Okay, well, like, I'm just gonna tack on a quick trip to Los Angeles to see my ex's sister." Okay, like, how much of a loser am I? Like, I was staying with her in Manhattan Beach, like, or, whatever, LA. And then I flew to Arizona, and I ended up it was the la sadly, it ended up being the last time I saw my grandmother, and who had picked up smoking. And so my whole suitcase is, like, just stunk like someone was ripping cigarettes. Like, it was so disgusting. Then I flew to San Francisco and was like, "I guess I'll go to Tahoe with my friends here." We go to Tahoe, and, like, there was an '80s band playing in Tahoe. Like, I can't even remember the name of it. It's called, like, Rubik's Cube or something. I don't know, I forget. All of my stuff smelled like cigarettes, and I was, like, gambling and, like, all of this stuff. It was just this, like, wild time. And, like, I had also been burned out so badly. Like, I just was so run down that, like, 2 weeks before I literally had a seizure in the Barnes& and Noble on the Upper East Side.
I think I remember you telling me about
Yeah, I was in
this.
the
Yeah,
hospital,
that's
and, like,
wild.
I was just, like, the low of the low. Like, it was, like, so
Yeah.
depressing. I wasn't done with graduate school. I needed my ex to see how fabulous my life was, but it wasn't, and it was really rough time. And, funny enough, I met Jeff in, like, it was, like, June, July of that year. It was like I was,
Wild.
like, as raw as, like, and then and then I meet my
Okay, as you're describing all of this, it reminds me of, like, kind of the summer Alex Earl is having, of, like, how she's just, like, jet setting around Europe and, like, like, being like, "Well, I'm going here, and I met this guy, and
yeah,
now we're going here, and I don't know how we ended up here," but, like, to think about, like and this is so how we've categorized her as, like, she's the one who's teaching Gen Z how to have fun, and it's, like, more
yeah.
of this, like, I don't know, like, the wind carries me vibe, but also she's getting so much backlash right now. Like, people are, like, being so critical of her like I've never seen before. They're, like, wishing the ill on her relationship with Stassi, and I just feel like the way that Gen Z goes about, like, exploring and socializing is just so, so different,
It's
and
very
so
puritanical.
social media. Yes, very, very puritanical. Yes, but also since we're on a tangent, did you
Yeah,
guys see the drama with Good Noticings and Caroline Calloway?
I wanted to talk about that with you. I feel like, you guys, this is a free range episode of
Yeah.
Open Chat, and we're just rolling with it. I meant to bring that up to you, Megan, in the pre-call because Caroline Calloway is my, like, favorite internet
Emma
scammer.
is like Emma is like
I
on
love
the
her.
feet of Caroline Calloway.
I
Okay,
think I
so
wrote
you saw.
about her for MT Deco literally, like, in the first 6 months I started working.
I think you have to
It was
resurface
on the
it
blog.
when you well, yeah, you have to
You
find it.
definitely should. So for those who don't know, Caroline Calloway, internet scammer, who got famous because one of her friends wrote an article in The Cut about her, went viral, and then Caroline responded, and then they had their whole back and forth. Well,
Quick
she's
tangent.
back
I
having a
feel like that was
yeah,
the beginning of, like, the cut essays, like, being a
yeah,
thing
agreed.
online.
Agreed. Yeah. And so then Caroline kind of like leveraged this into a persona where she's just kind of like, what did she say in her video? She's whimsical and ridiculous or
Whims
whatever.
whimsical, and her life is full of whimsy and chaos or something.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. So she posted a rant where she's walking down the street in New York after a party, and she's like, "The girls of the Good Noticing podcast are the fakest bitches in all of New York City," and then goes on to describe how basically she's been on their podcast and how they ripped into her, which like they did not. I listened to this episode; they did not rip into her. They had valid criticisms, but they didn't rip into her. And so this is like the whole drama where everyone today is just like, I'm living for this niche internet drama, but it's also like low stakes and fun. Like it reminds me of the 2000s, like Britney and Paris and Hillary and like the fights that they would have over like someone stole their boyfriend, like low stakes interpersonal drama, you know?
Well, it's similar to this is another article you DM'd, Megan, the MT Deco account, and I'm including in our Monday Cultural Gems email about, like, you can't be messy on the internet anymore because everyone has, like, a personal brand, and that, like,
Yeah.
Reddit and anonymous platforms are and Tumblr also got a shout out, are, like, the last pillars of internet messiness, and Caroline Calloway, because she knows
Yeah.
this is her personal brand.
Yeah, like, I think this is fine. Like, I don't think this is a scandal. Like, I think this is really fun mess. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, it's literally just like, I don't like how you talked about me on your podcast. And now they're like, everyone in the comments is like that too. They're like, as a hater, I can't wait to hear what they say about this. I hope they address it on their podcast and like talk about it.
Well,
But I
I
also
think I saw they have, I guess, a scheduled episode they do on their Patreon that they, like, maybe
yes.
do live every Thursday, and people are like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna, like, pay for a Patreon subscription and stuff just to get their thoughts on it."
You know this?
Oh, yeah,
It's
maybe it was staged. I would love that even more if they were like, "Let's have fake internet beef to raise both of our stars." Like, I don't think that's the case, but I would love it to be true.
I mean, I think that's gonna become a thing, and I think that the low stakes internet drama also, like, speaking of some of what you guys are talking about, but in a different way, like, I've been listening to some of the discourse around Stassi's new show. Have you guys seen it at all?
I've
Yes.
seen
I
clips,
haven't seen
but
the show, but I've seen the
I
Well,
need to watch it.
yeah, same. I need to watch it as well, but I was just listening, to a podcast take on it, and I think it's interesting, like, what I'm hearing, right? Like, she's, like, very like, again, low stakes internet drama, like, she's bringing, like, people on, she's, quote, unquote, "bearing it all," which is interesting, because, there's been sort of this, like, move toward, like, more privacy, especially with, like, reality stars and, like, we
Mhm.
talk about Alex Cooper and, like, kind of privacy. She's kind of doing the opposite. And like I saw like a short form video somewhere on my For You page yesterday where she was talking about how she was like likening her like this whole thing to like the Kardashians. And the take was like, you know, like the question from the interviewer was like, well, why are you like showing your kids like so blatantly on the show? And she's just like, well, they were born into a reality show um, family. And, just as much as they might come out one day and say, I hate you for doing this to me, they could also say, why didn't you do this for me when you had the chance to give me a platform? And so she's like, so I'm just like putting them out there. And I was kind of like, I do think she's doing I give her credit, like Stassi knows how to make like headlines. And I think it's kind of cool that she's it's like refreshing to me a little bit. Like I think people I feel like Bethany kind of like treads on this too, where it's like, and this even harkens on the Aaron's conversation too. Like
Mhm.
people are wanting some return to like the authenticity, the like lo-fi, the like, again, like the realness, I guess,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely relate as, like especially, like, watching reality TV way too young, like, in the mid-2000s, like, how messy and chaotic and nobody was thinking about how, like, audiences were going
No.
to perceive them and, like, long career longevity after the fact or, like, brand deals at all. So, like, people were like, "I need to be as messy as possible," so, like, they renew my contract, and now it's a very different vibe of, like, it needs to be, like, controlled messy. Like, I feel like they're towing the line of, like, being interesting enough without giving too much away and, like, maintaining privacy and also, like, being brand safe. It's
Yeah. I also thought what Saucy said about her kid was interesting and, like, how she could, be mad at her for not putting her on reality TV.
Mhm.
And I think, it also speaks to parents knowing, like, that their kids are little versions of them, I think has been something that's interesting. It's like there's no one size fits all for, like, this is what kids need to do and this is, like, how they should behave. Like, I even saw I think it was Jason Kelsey talking about how, like, his wife didn't understand just how stubborn, like, the kids were gonna be because he's like, "No, we're very stubborn people, so, like, gentle parenting isn't gonna work," and, like, eventually she came around on whatever it was, and so I think there is something of, like, as much as we are so used to policing parents and, like, what they should do online, at the end of the day, every child is different and they know what's best for their kids, you know?
Yes. I mean, I also think it is funny, like, I do think now that I hear her say this and I actually put, like, my brain to thinking about it, there is such a, like, passe thing putting your kids online. Like, you guys know my, like, take on it. Like, I do think sharenting and, like, I think that there's a lot of, like, lack of safety related to this right now. So, you know that. That being said, and this is I feel like I'm talking to, like, clients with this too, because clients will be like, how do we, like, create content around, like, a proprietary meeting where it's secret?" You know what I mean? And I'm like, "There's so many ways in to, like, story tell something without, like, giving it away," you know? Like, figure it out, like, you can have an account without your kid's face, or you can build an entire profile for your kid built on a given purpose and, like, still protect them. You
Mhm.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I have, like, started I think there's this, like, little golf influencer who's 10, and she's amazing. Like, I don't even know I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but, like, you guys know my son is, like, super into sports, and I've, like, thought to myself, like, "Wow, should I be, like, building an online presence for him? I don't know." Like, an audience is audience, it's valuable, like, like, listen, it crosses my mind even when we think about, like, colleges, right? So, like, one of the paths, if you, like, listen to all of these, like, influencers out there now talking about this is, like, advising to start a business and show how you're an entrepreneur and, like, do all this stuff when you're, like, in high school as it all builds up. How are you giving back to the community, doing all that? Well, that can be a heck of a lot easier if you have a following. You know what I mean? You can have a much
Yeah.
bigger impact
Mhm.
if you suddenly have, like, a very engaged following. Oh my gosh, and I do think, like, there is something fascinating, like, I feel like I don't know, like, the examination of, like, even the baton passing of an account to a child that has, like, like, I do think that that is just a fascinating thing, and I think we're gonna start to see a lot more of that in, like, the coming years, and, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think it's valuable? Should I do it? What do you think?
Yeah, I think I said this before, but I think Wally's too much of a stress case,
Oh, yes.
and that, like, but I wouldn't fault parents for doing it if they are doing it with pure intentions, as long as it doesn't result in, the situation where it's like, "This isn't my dream, dad, it's yours." But, like, if it really is coming from a place of, like, genuine, like, "My kid
Mhm.
wants to do this, and I wanna set them up for success," then yeah.
Yeah, I think I pretty much agree with that, and, like, just monitoring, like, analytics, like, seeing who the audience
Yeah.
demographic topics. Like, I think there are ways to be careful about it. It's just, I think a lot of people aren't, and those are the ones we hear about. So
Yeah.
they suck all the air out of the room. But thank you guys. I loved this like little like internet free range
I mean,
romp.
maybe we call the show Tangents. I don't know.
I thought that it was I think this is really fun, especially, like, end of the week. Like, there's so many
Yeah.
different stories. Like, I don't
It's
know, there's
basically Friday.
yeah, it's typically
100%
Friday, like
Friday. I was gonna say, can I ask you guys a question? And I don't know, like, whatever, you don't even have to answer on here, but, like, should we rename the entire Substack Open Tabs?
That's a big question.
Okay, we'll leave the audience on that hook with a question mark, and then we can talk about it and on Tuesday, in more depth, but I don't know, I feel like maybe we should, I don't know. Like, would it
It's interesting.
I saw, like, one of our, one of the Substacks we admire so much is Rachel Carton. We love you, Rachel. You are crushing. Um, Rachel was featured in, she shared on LinkedIn, like, she was shared in this, like, whole lineup of, like, it was actually interesting. It was, like, a top newsletters that people who work in corporate actually expense. So they have the company, like,
oh, cool.
paid
Smart.
for it, which I think is really cool, and, like,
Yeah.
we aspire to that, but Rachel, we love you. Anyway, the point is that, like, just looking across the list, the name of her Substack, which is, link in bio, is just, like, so sharp and simple and clean, and I'm like, "Should we just be open tabs?" I don't know.
Food for thought. Well,
for thought
maybe
too.
that'll be our, behind the paywall Tuesday
Yeah,
conversation.
maybe we do a poll and we can,
Yeah,
like,
dig into it more.
see, like, should we just rename it? It's kinda where my head is at. I just feel like Empty Deco by Melissa Blum or For You by Melissa Blum, it's so long, I don't know.
I know it is a bit of a mouthful. But interesting. I'll think about that over the weekend.
Me too.
Okay, yeah.
Alright. I can't wait. Have fun at the Odyssey,
Enjoy the Odyssey. Tell me what you think.
We
I
can't
will.
wait.
Okay, getting ready to walk in 3 hours. Okay, bye guys.